A terror-stricken humanity knew that it was...
First up, Godzilla vs. Megalon from 1973. Picture this. A giant cockroach monster teaming up with a robot called Jet Jaguar to fight our favorite atomic lizard. The best part was watching Godzilla perform an impossible flying dropkick that defied all laws of physics. The special effects team literally dropped a guy in a rubber suit from a platform, and you can spot the wires if you look closely. The city destruction scenes used plastic models and toy cars, and sometimes you could even see the hands moving the pieces around. But that's what made it amazing. It felt like watching the world's biggest action figure battle come to life. The rubber suit squeaked during fight scenes, and the miniature buildings would sometimes fall over before Godzilla even touched them. Queen Kong from 1976 is our next wild ride. Imagine taking the classic King Kong story and completely flipping it upside down. Instead of a giant male ape chasing a screaming woman, we got a massive female ape falling head over heels for a male model. The whole thing was packed with disco music, and the ape costume looked exactly like someone skinned their grandmother's living room carpet. There's this incredible scene where Queen Kong dances on top of Big Ben. You can literally see the cardboard buildings swaying in the wind. The special effects budget must have been about $12, but that's what makes it so special. The whole movie feels like a crazy fever dream, complete with random musical numbers and the weirdest romance scenes you'll ever witness in monster movie history. What's your favorite low-budget monster costume of all time? Drop your answer in the comments. Bonus points if you can spot the zipper in it. The Giant Spider Invasion from 1975 takes budget creativity to a whole new level. Filmed in Wisconsin of all places, the effects team transformed a Volkswagen Beetle into a giant spider by covering it with black fur and attaching mechanical legs. No joke. In some scenes, you can actually spot the car's wheels moving under all that fake fur. They got Alan Hale Jr., the skipper from Gilligan's Island, to star in it, running around looking terrified of what's basically a decorated car. The best scenes are when the spider chases people through cornfields at night, with the Volkswagen's headlights shining through the spider's eyes. You haven't lived until you've seen a furry beetle trying to look menacing while clearly struggling to drive through muddy Wisconsin farmland. Pure budget movie magic at its finest. Hey monster fans, if you're enjoying these retro reviews, now's the perfect time to hit that subscribe button. Now let's dive into our next creature feature.
One of these eight.
The Beast Must Die from 1974 is like if you mixed a werewolf movie with a murder mystery game. Show! They actually stopped the film near the end for a werewolf break, where the audience gets 30 seconds to guess who the werewolf is. The werewolf costume looks like they just took a big dog costume and added some extra fur, and every time it attacks, the camera goes all shaky to hide how fake it looks. My favorite part is watching these serious actors in turtlenecks and fancy suits trying to act suspicious while a guy in a furry costume lurks in the background. The best scene is when they chase the werewolf with fancy cars. You can totally tell it's just a stunt guy in a fur suit running through the woods while they play dramatic chase music. The Mighty Peking Man from 1977 proves that Hong Kong really wanted their own King Kong, but with some wild twists. They added this Tarzan-style jungle girl who could somehow communicate with the giant furry beast. The climbing scenes on Hong Kong's skyscrapers are pure gold. You can literally see the toy buildings wobbling in the wind. The monster suit looks like they raided every carpet store in Hong Kong, and there's no hiding those wires holding up the actors during the climbing scenes. My favorite part is when the monster picks up a car. You can spot the exact moment they switch from a real car to a toy model. The miniature city sets are incredibly detailed though, even if they do shake every time someone walks past the camera. Tell me in the comments, if you could remake any of these movies today, which one would you pick and what modern effects would you use?
20 demons, trapped in a dark subterranean cavern, its frozen fury preserved in suspense.
Time for some scientific monster action with Trog from 1970. You won't believe this, but Hollywood legend Joan Crawford's final movie has her playing a scientist who discovers a defrosted cave monster. The creature costume looks like it came straight from the Halloween discount bin, complete with visible zippers and a mask that barely moves. There's this amazing scene where Crawford, with total seriousness, tries to teach the monster to play with dolls and solve puzzles. The best part? Every time the monster gets angry, you can see the actor's real neck under the mask. But Crawford acts her heart out, treating every scene with this frozen cave creature like she's performing Shakespeare. The whole thing is shot like a serious science documentary, which makes it even more entertaining.
Its rampage.
Are you gonna try and stop it with a bow and arrow?
Let me tell you about Track of the Moon Beast from 1976. Get ready for this plot. A potter gets hit by a meteorite and transforms into a were-lizard at night. Yes, you heard that right. Not a werewolf, a were-lizard. The transformation scenes look like they just stuck random pieces of plastic on the actor's face and called it a day. But here's the real kicker. In the middle of all this monster madness, a local band shows up to perform this random song called California Lady that has absolutely nothing to do with the plot. The monster makeup consists mostly of green face paint and what looks like ping pong balls for eyes. Every time the monster appears, you can tell the actor is trying super hard not to bump into the furniture or trip over his tail.
You sweat, but you don't dare move.
Squirm from 1976 brings us killer worms. After a power line falls during a storm, regular earthworms turn into bloodthirsty monsters. The special effects team literally used thousands of real worms, dropping them on screaming actors through hidden tubes. There's this incredible scene where worms start coming out of a shower head. They basically just stuffed worms into the pipes and turned on the water. The best part is when the worms start burrowing into people's faces, which they created using oatmeal and spaghetti mixed with fake blood. You can sometimes spot the crew members throwing handfuls of worms into the shot. Every time someone opens a door or window, worms rain down like some kind of wiggly waterfall. The actors had to spend hours covered in real worms. Now that's dedication to their craft.
See their primitive mating rites, the ordeal of the virgins.
Creatures the World Forgot from 1971 is Hammer Studios' take on prehistoric monster movies. They filmed it in the African desert with actors wearing the most ridiculous caveman wigs you've ever seen. The monsters are basically just guys in furry suits meant to be prehistoric beasts, but they look more like shag carpets with teeth glued on. There's this amazing fight scene between a caveman and what's supposed to be a giant bear, but it's clearly just a guy in a fuzzy costume doing wrestling moves. The best part is that nobody talks. They just grunt and wave spears around while dramatic music plays. Every time a monster appears, they do these extreme close-ups of its face, probably because the full costume looked too silly. The cave sets are obviously just regular rocks with some bones scattered around.
Unknown to man.
No.
I could
No.
How much
No.
more?
It's not even worth it to try.
Let's talk about The Legend of Bigfoot from 1976. This movie tries so hard to be a serious documentary, but the Bigfoot costume is literally just a guy in a shaggy brown suit with ping pong ball eyes. They filmed most of it in the woods, and you can sometimes spot other hikers in the background, looking confused at the film crew. The funniest scenes are when Bigfoot is supposed to be sneaking around. You can hear the costume rustling like someone wrapped in a pile of autumn leaves. They also added these dramatic zoom-ins on random footprints that are clearly just boot prints made to look bigger. The narrator talks about everything like he's sharing the secrets of the universe, even when he's just showing footage of empty forests or squirrels. Which actor would you love to see pull a Joan Crawford and star in a ridiculous monster movie today? Let me know in the comments. I bet your casting choices would be wild.
He seems to be getting stronger as he melts.
Here's a wild one. The Incredible Melting Man from 1977. Imagine an astronaut who gets exposed to space radiation and starts melting while going on a rampage. The makeup effects are actually pretty amazing. They use this gooey stuff that really looks like the guy is melting. There's this scene where he tries to eat chicken from a fridge, while pieces of his face drip all over the place. The best part is watching him leave slimy handprints everywhere he goes. They probably went through gallons of fake goop making this movie. Every time he appears, more of him is melting away, but he keeps trying to act scary, even though he can barely keep his eyes from sliding off his face. The doctors in the movie keep explaining everything with the most ridiculous scientific babble you've ever heard. Monster fans, if you're enjoying this trip down memory lane, make sure to hit that subscribe button.
You realize that the ants only want us to take care.
Let's dive into our next batch of incredible creature features. Empire of the Ants from 1977 is pure B-movie gold. Joan Collins, yes, that Joan Collins, faces off against giant ants created by toxic waste. The effects team basically filmed regular ants crawling over miniature sets and hoped for the best. There's this amazing scene where the ants attack a sugar factory, and you can totally tell they're just regular ants walking on a dollhouse-sized building. The best part is, when they chase people through the swamp, the actors are running from absolutely nothing while screaming their heads off. Sometimes the ants change size dramatically between shots, going from car-sized to building-sized in seconds. But my favorite moment is when they try to make the ants look menacing by filming them in slow motion while playing scary music.
Ralph Meeker. Ida Lupino.
Food of the Gods from 1976 brings us giant rats, wasps, and chickens. They filmed all the giant animal scenes by building tiny sets and using regular animals, then trying to make them match up with the full-sized sets. The rats are clearly just regular rats filmed up close, running around miniature houses made to look full-sized. There's this hilarious scene where giant wasps attack, and you can see the fishing line holding them up. The best part is the giant chicken attack. They basically threw rubber chickens at the actors while playing chicken sounds in the background. Every time the monsters appear, the camera goes all shaky, probably to hide how small everything really is, but that's what makes it so fun to watch. Tell us about your local TV station's monster movie show from back in the day. What was your favorite memory of watching these kinds of films? Share your nostalgia in the comments. And speaking of special effects, let me tell you about Planet of Dinosaurs from 1977. This movie stranded astronauts on a planet full of stop-motion dinosaurs that actually look pretty decent. The dinosaur animation is surprisingly good, but everything else is hilariously low budget. The spaceship looks like it's made from cardboard and Christmas lights, and the alien landscape is clearly just regular California with some weird plants added. The best scenes are when the actors have to pretend to run from dinosaurs that weren't there. Sometimes they look in completely different directions. There's this great moment where a T-Rex attacks their camp, and you can see the cardboard rocks bouncing when people bump into them.
Twine men in her arms. They wanted love, desires.
Of course.
Night of the Cobra Woman from 1972 is absolutely wild. A woman gets bitten by a magical cobra and starts transforming into a snake person who needs to absorb youth from victims to stay young. The transformation scenes are something else. They basically just put green makeup on the actress and had her stick her tongue out a lot. There's this incredible scene where she sheds her human skin, and you can totally tell it's just a mannequin covered in rubber. The cobra effects are clearly just regular snakes filmed really close up, and sometimes you can spot the snake wrangler's hands in the shot. My favorite part is when she hypnotizes people. The actress just stares really intensely while they play this weird flute music. The Last Dinosaur from 1977 features a big game hunter going after the last T-Rex in a lost world. They clearly spent most of their budget on the dinosaur suit, which actually looks pretty good until it has to move. Every time the T-Rex walks, you can see the actor inside shuffling along trying not to trip. The Lost World sets are obviously just a regular forest with some plastic plants added, and the cave scenes were filmed in what looks like someone's basement with papier-mâché rocks. There's this amazing scene where the T-Rex fights a tank, and you can tell the tank is just a painted cardboard box with tracks drawn on it. But the actor in the dinosaur suit really gives it his all, stomping around and roaring like he's having the time of his life. Loving these monster movies? Smash that subscribe button, and let's dive into our final batch of incredible creature features. Horror at 37,000 feet from 1973 is pure made-for-TV gold. William Shatner fights an invisible demon on a plane. You can't make this stuff up? The monster is literally just wind effects and people getting thrown around by obvious stunt wires. The best part is watching Shatner dramatically react to absolutely nothing while fake smoke swirls around. There's this amazing scene where the demon attacks the cargo hold, and it's just boxes flying around on strings while the actors point and scream. They try to make it scary by playing weird howling sounds and flickering the airplane lights, but you can totally see the stagehands shaking the plane set to make it look like turbulence. Shatner treats every scene like he's performing Shakespeare, making it even more entertaining.
Tanks and the blood runs red.
Mr. Connors, why is it murdering people?
But what would
Slithis from 1978 brings us a monster created by radioactive pollution in the Venice canals of California. The creature suit looks like they stapled together random pieces of rubber and seaweed, then covered it all in green slime. Every time it attacks someone, you can see the zipper on the back of the costume. The best scenes are when it comes out of the water. They clearly just had a guy in the suit stand up from behind some rocks, while someone off camera splashed water at him. There's this hilarious moment where it chases people down the beach, and you can see the suit actor trying not to trip over his own monster feet. The local news reporter in the movie keeps doing these dramatic readings about the terror of Slithis while looking completely serious. Have you spotted any crew members, stage hands, or puppet strings in these films that I missed? Share your eagle-eyed discoveries in the comments. Before we check out our last movie, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Our final creature feature is Snowbeast from 1977. Basically Jaws in the snow with a Yeti. They filmed this at a real ski resort, and you can sometimes spot actual skiers in the background looking confused at the film crew. The Yeti costume is clearly just a white gorilla suit with some extra fur glued on, and they never show it clearly because it looks so ridiculous. The best part is watching the monster's attack scenes, which are just POV shots of someone running through the snow while shaking the camera. There's this great scene where it attacks the ski lodge, and you can see the costume's mittened hands trying to break through a clearly pre-broken window. And that wraps up our journey through these amazing forgotten monster movies of the 1970s. Each one of these films might look a bit silly now, but they've got more heart and creativity than most modern blockbusters. Whether it's the visible zippers and monster suits, or the wobbly miniature cities, These movies remind us that sometimes the best entertainment isn't about perfect special effects. It's about imagination and fun. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more trips down memory lane. Next week, we're diving into the robot movies of the 1970s. And trust me, they're even crazier than these monster flicks. Until then, keep watching the skies and our channel. Stay groovy, monster fans.